Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the new Netflix release, The Adam Project.
Yeah, it literally came out yesterday as time of recording.
Yeah.
It'll be Friday for when this comes out on Monday.
Yeah, starring Ryan Reynolds. We're hot on the pulse for once.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Hot on the pulse?
It can be now. It was nice to actually see a brand new project film come out.
It was, yeah.
And a nice change from the shit we've been watching recently.
I feel like we kind of hinged at it last week, and we probably could have just said we're going to do that one, but
people could have figured it out.
We got to keep a bit of mystery going. Yeah, I mean, there's not that many there's not many new releases. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how are you, Sam?
I'm okay. Yeah, not too bad. It's a Saturday, which is nice. It's nice weather.
Yeah, it's really sunny. I walked over here today instead of getting the bus, which was nice and chill. It's kind of weird because we recording late because we were waiting for this to come out.
Yeah.
It's been like a week and a half since we last recorded. So
you're getting withdrawal symptoms, are you?
Yeah. I've had a shaky hand all week. Month project.
Have you had a good week?
Yeah, I've had like a ridiculously busy day at work. There's a couple of things I was going to do on Monday morning. I eventually got round to at 4:00 on Friday.
Wow, that's that goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah. But no, how about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, busy as well. We did do a little recording for the Batman, didn't we?
We did.
Which might as well mention it now, is on the Silver Screen project. If you want to hear,
we went to see another brand new film in the Batman that we've been kind of building up to.
Yeah.
So check out our thoughts on that in the Silver Screen project.
Such a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Before we get into any project news, if you want to skip ahead, we've got time codes in the episode description. If you want to skip straight to the personal projects, hear what we've been up to this week, you're very welcome to do that. But I'd stick around for this one. I think it's going to be a fantastic episode. Not to toot my own horn there. Project news, Lewis. What happens with that?
So I got distracted then. Just had a text saying, Amazon payment has been declined.
Oh no!
Panic. I'll go back to that. So as always, I will.
Some personal projects there.
Yeah. I Google the word project and see what news comes up. I've only got one piece today because you've got something you're going to follow.
I do. Hopefully, we don't have the same piece. We didn't check. We'll see. You go.
So, the Clone Wars composer reveals mystery Star Wars animated project.
Cool. Yeah, that's not what I've got. So good
so the guy who composed, Kevin Kiner, who composed the Clone Wars, Rebels, and the Bad Batch.
Never heard of him.
Him or them?
Them. No, the person. Them. Okay. Them.
I thought you meant them shows. He's basically said they're working on a new project.
Ooh.
A new animated project. So kind of building on
that kind of little universe, which, as we now know, if you've seen any of the new live action shows, they're very much kind of tied together, aren't they?
Yes.
Especially with Dave Filoni and that being very involved.
It seems like it'd be more that. I thought the Bad Batch was a bit meh.
Yeah, I mean, I famously have only watched the first season or so of Clone Wars. I watched a bit of Rebels. I know that we were talking just before recording, the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer's out. Neither of us have watched it. From what I've seen, unfortunately, through scrolling Instagram, there are a couple of things that seem to be coming from other properties, which you kind of expect at this point.
Yeah, I've kind of been purposely avoiding it because it's more enjoyable seeing it first time.
Yeah, around. Definitely. Yeah, I think with Boba Fett, we're both quite good with that. I don't think I even watched a trailer, to be honest. It was all surprises to me coming each week, and they're better at it now with these Star Wars shows. I think even if stuff's in the trailers, it probably isn't particularly. People seem surprised the whole way around, and I'm assuming most people consume every bit of Star Wars.
And I think they're quite careful about what they put in trailers so that they can tease people, get people hyped without giving out actual.
Which is interesting because the few things I've seen screenshots of, are the kind of things that people would be like, "Wow, that person from that's in it," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, that's cool. So they've got another thing because Bad Batch was a bit of a surprise drop, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because it was built off. It was a spin-off of the last season of Clone Wars.
Right. Okay.
And it was fun. I know some people really liked it, and cool, good for them.
Yeah,
I enjoyed parts of it.
Well, that's the good thing with Star Wars. It's so broad now with so many different facets and projects and all that. There's something for everyone, and it's the whole thing with people being so upset with the sequel trilogy. There's still millions of people who enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I've always just been of the kind of thing, like I like Star Wars. New Star Wars stuff, I always liked it. Star Wars, you know, some's better than others. Cool, but always be excited for a new Star Wars thing.
Exactly, yeah.
I've sorted out my Amazon thing though now. I've now paid for what I ordered.
Lovely.
So what's the other thing that you've got for us?
So it's actually related to today's topic.
Good. It's
the Adam Project. No. So the headline here from Entertainment Weekly is Deadpool 3 will reunite Ryan Reynolds with the Adam Project director Sean Levi.
Okay.
So the guy who directed the film we're about to talk about has now been signed on for that, which makes sense because they've got a working relationship. He did Free Guy as well with Ryan Reynolds before this. It's going to be
the Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy trilogy.
Which, if it works, he just lets him do his Ryan Reynolds stuff, I imagine.
Like Ryan Reynolds has very much come into playing Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Reynolds these days. And obviously it works quite well, and he's usually quite enjoyable.
Yeah, although it is, you know, in a cynical way, it's a bit samey. He does, it's, you know, it's quite charming and it's quite wholesome most of the time. I did have a moment, you know, we'll talk about it in a moment. Towards the start of this, I was like, there's a lot of,
I've got notes.
There's a lot of, and it was before Ryan Reynolds was even in it. There was like, this is a lot of Ryan Reynolds-ish stuff, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. But it also mentions in this article that there are some Deadpool Easter eggs in the Adam Project.
I noticed one.
There was one. And then there's one that's a kind of background thing, which I didn't see, but I read. I
noticed another reference as well, which we'll get to right at the end of the film.
Yes, that might be around the same thing. I think.
It wasn't Deadpool though.
No, yeah. Apparently, in that same thing, there's a Deadpool thing. Right, we'll talk about it, but we're not going to do any spoilers up front. I think for this, we'll do a little bit of just
because it's a new release, and we're aware some people might be looking. Most of the stuff we watch has been out for like a while.
Yeah.
This has been out. Not even a week, so we just do quick our thoughts before we go into our usual
would you want to do some numbers and stuff first? I mean, I know Netflix is a bit difficult
so I couldn't get box office and budget. Actually I could check the budget now because it was quite early. It's quite early. It's quite hard to find definitive numbers on it. But I'm just checking Wikipedia now.
Yeah, I mean, while you're looking at that, just on the topic of Sean Levi, how would you pronounce it? Levy? Yeah, because I would be Levi.
There's a guy in football with the same surname.
Oh right, in football.
He's chairman of Tottenham.
I say. Well, thank you for the context. He's had quite a career. He's been a producer on lots of things, including Stranger Things. And Arrival.
He also
directed a lot of stuff as well.
Mainly Chief by the Dozen, Pink Panther, The Night at the Museum trilogy, Free Guy, and Stranger Things, as you mentioned.
Yeah, amongst some TV movies and episodes of things. But yeah, he's kind of prolific in a way, but kind of like under the surface, I feel.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had his kind of big break from what how weird. He directed a episode of the Birds of Prey series in 2002.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
It's really random.
So he'll be back to his comic book origins when Deadpool 3 gets started.
Yeah, but yeah, he seems to have like a type of film, like a kind of comedy type thing, which I'm not kind of surprised that he ended up doing this and works well with Ryan Reynolds.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's written by Jonathan Tropper, who didn't get too much on, but he did write, produce, and direct Banshee.
Right, I've heard good things. It's let me just think. It's something about, I think there's a small town and like a criminal drifter guy like takes the place of the new sheriff or something,
right? And
then it's like kind of dark. It was a little bit after True Detective. I think one of the main female leads in that, the second girl that Woody Harrelson goes out with, who's really young. I don't know if you remember.
No,
he cheats on his wife alone.
I don't remember that at all. To be honest, I remember enjoying it, but we watched it in one sitting.
We did actually, yeah, that was fun. She was in that. That was like a breakout role after that for her. But I've heard good things. I've never watched it myself, so Yeah, cool. And they wrote that as well. The writer.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
He also like produced and directed that, so he was all over that.
Mm.
So the cast, obviously,
Ryan Reynolds.
very high, well-known cast.
Yes, yeah.
I will go through some things you may recognise them from, just if there's...
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds, who I think
who's that?
Looking back, because I looked through his film, I think the first thing I actually saw him in was X-Men. X-Men
Origins Wolverine,
which obviously isn't good. I quite like his Wade Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, he's quite good for what he's in it.
But then the second half of the film is
he's just not in it.
Yeah, and then
he might as well have not been. You can tell it's him under the makeup, but.
And then Green Lantern, which less said about the better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair bit in this that I thought, yeah, I bet this is what Green Lantern's like. Especially the first scene is like, this feels like Green Lantern.
So R.I.P.D., which I never got around to watching.
With what's he called? In Iron Man 1, Obadiah Stane. Jeff Bridges. Yeah. That's based on a comic book series. Yeah.
Deadpool's probably what he's best known for these days.
Yeah, I mean, he was in lots of
rom-coms
and
early
stuff,
to mid-2000s, but I never watched that. Detective Pikachu, of course. I forgot he was in that, playing Pikachu. And then Free Guy, Red Notice. He's on a bit of a Netflix contract at the moment, it seems.
Clearly, yeah.
Getting all that Netflix money. There's quite a few people going down that route, it seems, and just getting those Netflix bucks.
Why not?
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo, obviously another huge name. Shutter Island, 1,000 different Marvel films.
Yeah.
Now You See Me, Spotlight.
Yeah.
So he's got quite a range, to be honest.
Yeah. I think he's become more widely known for things like Marvel stuff, but he's been chugging away for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, I do like Mark Ruffalo.
I do, yeah.
Jennifer Garner, who I haven't seen in anything for like 10 years.
Well, she was in Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And then married him.
Yeah. And she was also in Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck a couple of years before. And I married him.
She's in Alias, 13 going on 30, Juno.
And obviously the Elektra standalone film, which amazes me that Daredevil got a spin-off.
Yeah,
for that
well,
character.
I mean, I've always said I like that film, but again, I had it on DVD and I was a child, so
it's not good. I think the last major thing I recognised her from was Dallas Buyers Club.
See, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so she's it's good to see her back and stuff. I haven't got anything against Jennifer Garner. Zoe,
it would be weird if you did, to be honest. Yeah,
Zoe Saldana, who's in like every huge franchise going at the moment.
I watched another film with her in it straight after this one.
Yeah, so she was early on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, very
which
early,
I kind of forgot.
Yeah, she's not. Is she just in the first one, or does she go throughout?
I think it's just the first one.
Yeah, she's the woman on the ship.
Yeah, she's in The Terminal that I forgot about as well. Very early career as well. But major stuff.
I forget she's in Star Trek.
Star Trek, she plays Uhura. Avatar, Guardians of the Galaxy, and other Marvel properties. I mean, between them, you got 3 of the biggest properties going, and I think she's going to be in all the Avatar sequels. I looked actually.
No, she is. Yeah, I can see
upcoming films is like Star Trek 4, Avatar 2, Avatar 3, Avatar 4.
Avatar 5,
Guardians 3, other Marvel. It's like she's just doing sequels for the next 5 years.
She loves being painted and going on a green screen.
And she's gonna earn a shit ton of money.
For the Avatar films, they didn't paint them at all, did they? It was all CG.
All CGI. Yeah.
So I bet she was in for a bit of a shock when she turned up to Guardians 1. What do you mean you can't just add the green skin afterwards?
Yes, and then the other final notable name in it is Catherine Keener.
This is I mentioned just before recording. I really recognised her, and I figured out what it was from.
Right, so I've got a list here. Tell me which one.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich.
Not seen it.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
That's one. Okay.
Captain Phillips.
No,
plays Tom Hanks' wife.
Mrs. Phillips.
Yeah. Get Out.
Yeah, I've seen her in that, but I didn't remember. Yeah.
And she's in Incredibles 2. She plays the screenslaver.
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Incredible 2.
Well, I mean, At this point,
she plays the lovely person who you wouldn't suspect.
When you looked at me and gave me that look, I was like, "Oh shit! Have I said something horrible here?" That is the character's name, right?
Yeah. No, it's
I can't remember the.
No, because there's a duo, sibling duo.
That film came out like 5 years
Bob
ago.
Odenkirk and her. And you think the whole film that it's Bob Odenkirk is the bad guy.
I can't believe it's got to this that you're then concerned about spoilers.
Always
Incredibles 2.
It's because we were saying very much. Shall I put in the episode notes? Warning: Incredibles 2 spoiler at 15 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the cast. I have got the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I think I've seen this.
Although I was going to quickly check to see if that's changed.
It may well have. Yeah.
No, it hasn't. So Rotten Tomatoes 69%. Hey. So good, but not incredible.
Pretty nice.
IMDb 7.1.
Yeah,
slightly above average.
Oh, I've got 7.0 on here.
Whoa!
Wow, there's a glitch in the Matrix there.
The Matrix. I don't know what that was. So yeah, shall we quickly talk about general thoughts about the film before we go into our usual spoilery?
I think the best thing, because I feel like I've got to say this up front. I said it with the Batman review. If you're worried about spoilers, I wouldn't listen to this at all because we're both pretty stupid and we'll probably accidentally say something. But realistically, we're going to talk about films that, clearly inspirations, that sort of thing. Feel like you've got to mention at least a couple of bits. So if you want to go into it completely blind, you probably had it ruined already, but otherwise,
we'll try to
watch
keep
it
this
first.
Section.
We'll try and keep it as at least a plot point.
At least no more than it shows in the trailer, which is pretty much most of the film.
Yeah. They kind of set up the finale in the trailer, don't they? Which is good.
Fortunately, I didn't watch it before.
No, neither of us had. No.
But yeah, before we get into it, overall opinion.
I mean, compared to what we've been watching recently, I thought the pacing was fairly good. It moves as a decent kind of run. I didn't love it, but I thought it was, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't actually say about the references and inspirations, but there's some very clear stuff throughout.
Yeah.
And I think that's intentional, but it feels...
It makes direct reference to one thing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel to me like it feels like almost it's borrowing from other things without doing anything original.
Yeah.
It felt a bit like a patchwork of sci-fi references to me.
Yeah.
And certain things like Guardians of the Galaxy, some scenes felt like they were trying to do that kind of thing with music and spaceships and stuff. And the characters weren't great, to be honest, but the performances I thought were pretty good.
Performances are good. Like, I agree. It's not the most original film ever, but it's an enjoyable, fun ride.
And I think the emotional stuff worked quite well. I
think I enjoyed the first half of the film more than the second half. I think the second half came a bit like plot by numbers kind of.
Yeah, there's certain things where it's not quite as bad technobabble as we've mentioned in other projects, but there's certain bits where they're like, we've got to do this, otherwise this happens, and the characters just go, okay. I'm like, well, that's fine, but
I'd say, like, if you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds and you like the stuff he's been doing recently, both Deadpool and things like Free Guy and Red Notice.
Did you ever watch Free Guy?
No, I didn't.
I think I like Free Guy more than this. I think it was. Okay. I thought it was better.
But I think if you like Ryan Reynolds, you'll probably like this.
Because
it's just one of those Ryan Reynolds films, isn't it?
Effectively, you get two Ryan Reynolds for the price of one, don't you? In a way. And I do think, without going into it again, the performance from the boy who plays the younger character in this is he's pretty good for pretty much first time actor as well. I couldn't see any big credits on his IMDb.
No, he was decent.
And Mark Ruffalo plays the kind of emotional heart of the film in a lot of ways. Not emotional heart, but when he comes along, things kind of
changes the
tone a bit. I think he was really good.
Jennifer Garner's really good.
Didn't see as much of Zoe Saldana as I was hoping. Really,
she didn't really have much to do, and I was a little bit disappointed that
it ended the way it did for her. Almost. I thought that was going to be like something that was subverting expectations kind of thing. But no. I don't think, with the concept and how high sci-fi it was, high concept sci-fi, I feel like it didn't quite scratch that itch for me. And it promised stuff that not necessarily it alluded to stuff that it didn't really deliver. stuff about future kind of stuff, and
I think the concept and the idea of the film is interesting enough to enjoy the film. But they could have done more with that story than what we got in the end.
And I think going back to Free Guy again, without spoiling anything there, it kind of gets quite mad, and it's almost too much with, because it's all video game based, it's all goes a bit crazy, but could have used a bit of that kind of high stakes kind of madness at the end. It doesn't really, the final act was just a bit like there for me.
It sways between like, this is like end of the world stuff and this is a personal thing, both in what they're doing and like the amount of villains and stuff just kind of comes and goes,
and everyone's related to it, like they all know each other. It's a bit and considering between then and certain other points there's supposed to be like 30 something years, and it's like, but they all know, like they're all friends, everyone who knows each other is either family, friend. It felt a bit contrived at times, but considering it's supposed to be this kind of, as it says in the trailer, like a kind of Steven Spielberg homage kind of thing, I think it makes sense for it to be this kind of small story. But something about it, I don't know if it was maybe, it didn't feel super satisfying to me, to be honest, but I enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was a good kind of, if it dragged on much longer, if it was 2 hours, I feel like maybe it would be a bit there, but it was about an hour and 40 something, so it's quite manageable.
So before we get into our spoilers section, I'll quickly do the Google summary, see how accurate you think it is, because it's on Google, it's not a spoiler. After accidentally crash landing in 2022, time-traveling fighter pilot Adam Reed turns up with his 12-year-old self for a mission to save the future.
He turns up with himself.
He teams up with himself.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
He turns up with himself.
He kind of does turn up with himself. I mean that's it.
That's it.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed listening, and we'll hear you next week. No, but I think that's a pretty accurate.
That's
probably the
much
one Netflix has.
They quite often do that with Netflix films. I feel like I knew that going in. Did you know any of that?
I
think I'd looked into it.
Didn't really know. The opening shot of the film comes up with Ryan saying time travel exists. So I was like, okay, cool.
I feel like that felt a little bit like an added on thing, because quite often when they describe, when there's any kind of opening crawl that's not like carefully crafted, like even in Blade Runner 2049, is it 9?
Yeah.
I always think it's 5. I think maybe there was an animated thing called 2045, but in that there's a decent, it's not a big crawl, but it felt a little bit to me like that, where it's like there's people who don't know what this is, we just have to put a couple of bits
and it almost felt like they weren't sure how to write in to make it clear that he had traveled through time.
Because I almost think the reveal, within the first half an hour would have been more effective. But anyway, I knew that going in.
So let's get into it. If you are concerned about spoilers, skip ahead to personal projects. We won't talk about this in personal projects. You can go stick on your Netflix and come back to this.
That would be fantastic. See if we recap it in the way that you saw it.
I found it quite interesting before with other podcasts of like watching a film and then listening immediately to their thoughts. But hopefully you have a similar opinion.
We'll see you in an hour and 40 something minutes.
Spoilers ahead.
There'll be spoilers ahead.
So as we said, it opens up with time travel exists. You just don't know it yet. And the year is 2050.
And we've got like a classic like Motown-y kind of song going on, and there's space, and I'm like, immediately I just Guardians. Do you know what? Did you feel the same thing? I know that's
kind of this, but I did write later on.
Well, they played the same song later as well, so they didn't. I think there's only 2 like licensed songs in this. The rest of it is just like soundtrack, which is fine by me. I think if they'd had pop songs peppered throughout, it would have felt way more like that. But it's something about that. That's me looking into it a little bit. But we see like he's like a test pilot or something, it seems like.
He's basically flying like a space jet, and there's another jet coming after him. It turns out he's stolen the jet. He's Adam.
And it's Ryan Reynolds.
He's Ryan Reynolds is the pilot, and he's called
We don't
Adam.
know he's called Adam at this point.
No, the other pilot says, hey, Adam. And I'm like, he's Adam.
Right. So the whole bit later with the younger one is not.
No, yeah.
That's nothing then. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we. Yeah.
So yeah, he's trying to get away from this other person. He's like, I'm gonna shoot down. He crashes their tracking system.
Yeah, do they shoot him a little bit then?
Yeah, his ship's like getting damaged, and then he like opens up a wormhole, flies through it.
Yeah, it's quite
closes.
Cool. It like has to charge up, and then it opens like
and then we get the Adam Project title sequence.
I thought that first part where he's flying around, imagine the Green Lantern film opens pretty similarly to this because Hal Jordan is a test pilot.
Have you seen Green Lantern?
No. So I imagine
Have you not seen Green Lantern?
Well, I heard it was bad and I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, but you've seen Daredevil.
Yes, but Daredevil came out when I was a child. Green Lantern came out when I was a teenager. I think. It's weird that Taika Waititi plays the best friend in that, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah.
I saw it once. Not after it came out.
And he's in Free Guy as well. That makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder.
It came out in 2011. Yeah, I was about to go to university. I was like, I'm not gonna watch some shit film.
I didn't go to cinema to see it, but I did watch it.
No, I mean, I'd like to watch it at some point.
It is bad.
I mean, if there's any Green Lantern stuff coming out,
there is a Green Lantern film coming out in the next couple of years, isn't there?
Well, they've had the Green. Well, did you see DC? DC reshuffled all their schedules, so like 3 films have been delayed to next. The Flash is now next year, the one that they released the trailer for, and we haven't had a. Yeah. Anyway,
that's
DC talk for this week.
So we get this kid running through school.
Yeah,
I've written down Adam as a kid running in school. So I think I immediately
I mean, he also looks like Ryan Reynolds. They did a pretty good job of like they've got different hair.
Yeah.
But
he's a bit more like scrawny.
Well, yeah, he doesn't look like an adult Ryan Reynolds.
Like they make a point in the film that he's a small, scrawny 12-year-old.
Yeah, but I'm saying with the facial features, they got someone who looked like him. They didn't get a kid who looks like adult Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, well, like
yeah, he looks a lot like him. Like as if he could be his son. Oh, they should have just got his son.
Is his son an actor? How old's his son?
I don't know. But he talks like Ryan Reynolds, doesn't he?
He does. So yeah, he's getting chased through a school where he eventually gets caught by these bullies. And then like, punches him and like he says something and the kid Adam has a good line where he's like, "Oh, what did you buy a bully starter kit off Amazon?"
Yeah, because they're saying really like cliched stuff.
Yeah, I quite like that.
But from the start, yeah, he's got that kind of that speech pattern, that kind of, you know, bantery kind of thing, quippiness. That
yeah, and it's really quite frustrating for my notes. Right, there's 2.
Okay, so I was going to ask how you wanted to do this because on IMDb it says Big Adam and Young Adam, but I've done old and young.
Oh, I've done Kid and Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, well,
let's do Young Adam and Big Adam if that's how they've promoted it.
Young Adam and Big Adam. Okay, I guess he's not old, is he? Okay, I'll try and change it as I go.
Yeah,
I'll say old probably. I'm Ryan Reynolds sometimes, so
yeah. So
he gets punched by the bully, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then he's like sitting outside the head teacher's office, and his mum turns up, who's Jennifer Garner.
He is polite though, because he knocks over a girl's book, and then he picks up the book, and then he tries to chat her up, even though she's older. So he's got a bit of sass to him.
A nice kid. He's just got too much mouth on him.
And then the mum's like yelling at the principal, and she's like, "His father died a year ago. He's still like, why are you making him get kicked out?
Why are you suspending him for getting beaten up?"
It's like he clearly didn't. Yeah, I mean that's obviously true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I there's a car journey back where I've written that I like his squeaky voice. Because I thought like he has like a kind of cartoonish quality to him, this kid, and I feel like he would be good as like a young superhero in something. And I'm sure he'll be picked up as like I don't know what, Deadpool Jr.
I can imagine like
even like a Spider-Man kind of character.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Like Shazam. If that hadn't already been done.
No, I mean like as the super. Yeah, because Shazam turns into a big guy.
Yeah, but I mean, like the kid, he's similar to the kid in Shazam.
Yeah. I'm just thinking someone like I don't know, someone who's like a young Avenger kind of character. Because he's quite like he's got that Marvel kind of chattiness. Because I guess he's just doing Deadpool, really, isn't he?
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, they then get home and he's like,
well, the mum is being like stern to him, and she says the future is coming sooner than you think, which I thought was really lame.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that line now.
Yeah, because I was like thinking like, right, I know what's happening here.
So he's just like throwing a ball in the garden.
They live in like a cabin in the woods, don't they?
Yeah,
but like
really
a nice
weird.
cabin.
It's really, it's a nice, expensive cabin, but it's got like no fence around it, and like you can just wander into the woods.
Yeah,
is that not dangerous?
Well, we find out that the dad was like a popular scientist, rich, successful. What do you be? What do you?
Would you be? What you be?
What you be if you were a scientist?
A successful scientist?
Yes, he's very. They have some money. Don't
He's
they?
doing well for himself.
Yeah. Well, not anymore.
He was until he died.
The mum. Yeah.
He goes in for dinner, and Jennifer Garner is getting ready to go out on a date. With Derek.
Yes.
And they're kind of joking around, and it's clear that they're both not quite comfortable with this conversation, but they're joking. I thought they've got quite a sweet relationship.
Yeah, see, this is the bit that I found a bit like cringe, and like it's just they do have a sweet relationship, but it was lots of like almost like Gilmore Girls where they're talking really fast. You ever seen Gilmore Girls? You know?
Yeah.
And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, is everyone fucking Ryan Reynolds in this film? Like, I think I just wasn't used to like the patter of dialogue yet, but it was like, haha, you're going out with that guy, yeah. And I was like,
and she leaves and she's like, no staying up late, no video games, and then it like cuts, then he's playing VR.
He's got like this crazy VR rig that's got like, I mean, I guess it's not, it looked pretty insane. It had like a thruster and like a
he's got like hands in gloves and the whole headset, and he's playing like some like it's
basically what he was doing in the future, like a space
jet shooting.
I mean, I thought here is that foreshadowing, but I don't think he actually ever flies, does he, the kid?
No, he
not as a kid,
but he does when he grows up.
Yes, yes.
What? And then like all the lights go out, and their dog like starts barking. And I had a sudden thought here, because obviously we know where this is going at this point, because we've seen Ryan Reynolds go for the wormhole. And I was like, oh, the mum's single and going on dates.
I know. I thought it was. There's a couple of bits where I thought it was going to go.
I was like, is this going to do like a Back to the Future? Yeah. And this is the first time I thought this reminds me of Back to the Future,
because they reference it like a little bit later.
Yeah, I think it's to get away with how similar this film is.
Yes,
in certain ways.
And there's the part later where they're talking, and I'm like, does she fancy her son right now? Like,
and does he fancy his mum right now?
I kind of wish they just.
Whoa! Don't listen to that train of. Don't finish that train of thought, Sam.
They're not gone with the whole thing, but like at least alluded to that, so that it, like, it like, you know, when you just show like a plot hole and you're like,
okay,
you know, because they just like they didn't recognize it at all.
No, they didn't.
And I feel like it's important to recognize it. Ryan Reynolds wants to have sex with his mum, okay?
Right, okay. So the dog runs into the woods. Adam follows. And there's loads of like ash falling from the sky.
Yeah, we find out what it is afterwards, but you can't really tell at first.
It's like glowing orange and just
like embers kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like almost snowing.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, we shouldn't be out here. And then they like run back.
Yeah, and he sees like the tops of trees have like burnt.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
What's going on?
So it's kind of something's like almost crashed through and like cut off the top of the tree, or maybe the portal opened there. But then he was in space, wasn't he? So, yeah.
So they get scared and they run back. And then they hear a sound in their shed. Yeah. I say shed.
They say it's a garage, but it's like an extra house on the side.
It's like a shed in the garden, but it's big and it's got like a sofa and stuff in there. It's like a summer house almost.
You know what it is? It's exactly like in Iron Man 3 when Robert Downey Jr. gets looked after by the kid.
It is actually exactly
I've got that note coming up. The whole relationship is exactly that.
He goes into the shed and Ryan Reynolds is there and he's hurt. And it's like, oh yeah, it's like that bit in Iron Man.
Well, it's more like E.T., I think, at that point. Kind of. It's a bit of both.
Oh, what was that?
Dong. That's the gong for when we talk about Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah, the Iron Man 3 gong. You probably haven't heard it go off much. The Iron Man 3 gong.
It's gonna be so annoying.
Yeah.
I've to edit that out.
We won't talk about the
third film in the Robert Downey Jr.
Marvel property
franchise.
So I was going to make another joke then, but let's get back onto the point.
I love Iron Man 2 though, don't you?
I was going to say the third Iron Man. No, I didn't say the third Robert Downey Jr. Marvel property is Avengers assembled.
Ding.
Anyway,
I was going to do a different noise for Iron Man 2, but I couldn't think of anything.
Right. Big Ryan, Big Adam,
Big Ryan.
Big Adam is like
he's doing like an ET. He's in the garage.
He's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. And he's like bleeding, and I'm like, he's very Ryan Reynolds here.
Yeah, he's kind of being dismissive, like in the Robert Downey Jr. way from that film.
But it's also like very quite like Deadpool, like the way he's talking to the kid and stuff.
Yeah.
He asks how old the kid is, and he says 12, and he's like, oh wow.
He's like, oh, I'm in the wrong place because
he went, and he's like, where's your mom? And
they have a whole thing about
young Adam is like, oh, she's out on a date with Derek, and he's like, oh, Derek.
He says about a face mullet, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, he doesn't matter.
And then they're basically throughout this, we see, I kind of missed a couple of these bits, but there's things like Big Adam knows how to like shut the fridge, and there's a few things
he
where
knows
the dog's name and stuff, and it's kind of a big build up where young Adam's asking him like, who are you? How do you know all these things about me?
And young Adam tries to hit Big Adam with a baseball bat,
and he just like easily because he's
it,
And there's things where he's got the same chin scar.
Yeah, it's like the dog's barking, they're both in sync turn and say the same thing.
It's like Hawkins, I think, isn't it? Hawking.
Don't know.
And then like he can also he knows his timing for his asthma, which I think just everyone is supposed to hold it for the same time.
There's also a weird bit here where every time he coughs, his like bullet wound.
That felt very Deadpool.
I was like, oh, I hope this isn't an ongoing.
I know,
joke.
I really didn't like that.
He played it a few times. I was like, oh, this
because he does it after like this bit as well. So there's a big build up, and then basically he says like, oh, we've got the same thing. You're even wearing my dad's watch, which is the same watch. He's like, you're me.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, okay, we knew this already. And then I think he breaks the tension by doing a fart cough thing, which is very funny.
And Big Adam's not really telling much. He's saying everything's classified. But young Adam finds something that he thinks is a lightsaber in Big Adam's bag. And he's like, don't touch that. It's classified.
Yeah. He needs to get back to 2018, basically, to save someone. We don't know who.
Yeah.
We see the jet, don't we?
Yeah. So he says, the jet. This bit is very convenient. Where because he's been shot, he can't open the jet because he's not at full health.
But it's coded just to his DNA.
Yeah, and he needs to get into the jet to fix the jet so he can fly.
Which doesn't make any sense. So when a jet breaks and you're injured, you just die.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's with a younger version of himself who's got the same DNA who can open the jet.
I thought there was supposed to be a joke where he goes, oh, it's not working, back to plan A. And it's like, so what was he was it didn't really land for me. I don't know if I missed that, but
no, I didn't really. But
they
young
activates
Adam activates it.
They
like a hoverboard comes down.
And they fly up into the jet, and basically the jet was cloaked above, like halfway down the tree line. So the burned off trees was. The jet was like in that space where the trees were, kind of thing.
There's lots wrong with the jet. It's going to take some time to fix.
And did he do some sort of future healing? Because he keeps saying, I need a few days to heal. Is there... I
don't think so. I think
he goes, oh, it went all the way through and stuff.
Yeah. But... and then they kind of explain some plot stuff. So...
But there's a part that, it's
young Adam
memories.
asks Big Adam, do you remember this?
Yes.
And he explains that when he goes back to his time, his memory reforms, but not whilst he's here. Everyone has a quantum fixed time.
Yes.
It's all jargon.
But this doesn't really do... There's nothing comes of this, really.
No, but it basically explains how he
can be there and also
like if he could remember, then he would know what's coming.
I think there's a reveal with the bad guy's plan and stuff, which is what this is about. So there's a reason why everyone doesn't remember, which is what this is.
But
I thought
if it was the case, as soon as he's come down, the motions are set, and he's like, right, I know what's going to happen.
I just feel like they were going to do some reveal of somebody not being in their right time who we thought was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because as well, later when the action starts, because it's like a PG kind of film, when someone gets shot, they turn into like dust.
Yeah.
And that...
do they get killed or do they go back to
No,
their
they
time?
die still. They say when you die in the wrong time, you just disappear.
Right.
And I get that works for the film, for the tone, for the rating. But I again thought that was going to be a thing where we see someone die and they don't disappear. And we're like, oh shit, that person was from this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are the kind of things where they introduce a concept. They don't really do anything clever with it.
Yeah. They just kind of do it to make it easier to write.
Maybe I'm just expecting too much from a pretty standard
film. Yeah, basically Big Adam says he's just gonna like chill in the shed for a couple of days.
Yeah, I think the mum doesn't go in because it's the dad's shed, and we find out she's still very much in the grieving early period, and she's left a lot of stuff where it was kind of thing.
He's got a picture of Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, I
think he's a really big fan of Avatar.
Yeah, she's Nateri or whatever. She's got the blue face on.
Yeah, it's not Zoe Saldana. It's Zoe Saldana in Avatar.
Yeah. They make a bit.
That's a joke.
They make a Back to the Future reference where one of them says something about like, oh, I think Big Adam says, I'm gonna give you stock options or whatever, and then
it's like, oh, like Biff in Back to the Future.
Which actually, the bad guy does literally do that with her younger self.
See, that's what I think they put that in there so they can get away with all the actual stuff they copied from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh, also didn't realise there's a forest scene which is very Back to the Future, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was thinking more of another thing that it was copying.
There's quite a few bits.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every big sci-fi franchise is in this.
Oh, I thought he was going to say copies from Back to the Future.
Oh, no, they're all in this.
Yeah, they are.
All the big ones, the two big ones.
The two big ones, Back to the Future and Avatar.
Because Zoe Saldana's in it.
And he has a picture of Nateri.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I would question why you remember her name, but you watched Avatar last night.
Also, I was looking. That's what's it, Navi language.
Oh,
I watched it last night. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Nateri. Also, I was looking on her IMDb, and I had to read Nateri 5 times because she's in 5 Avatar films. Okay.
Anyway, the mum gets home and he says like, "Oh, it was a night full of surprises," and asks how the date was. This is young Adam.
Yeah.
Derek knocks on the door because she left a scarf behind.
Mm-hmm.
And young Adam says he's got a wonderful mouth mullet.
Yeah, and he's like, I've never heard someone say that before.
And he's kind of taking the piss out of Derek, and the mum's like, you can be a real jerk sometimes.
Yeah, and we kind of get this impression from here on out that he's not very nice to his mum, but I never really fully bought that. I think he's not as supportive as he could be, but also he's 12 years old.
I think it's kind of a situation where like it's just the two of them in the house. And they just kind of tolerate each other more than actually being close. They like joke with each other, but like you do like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
I think they're not particularly close, which is why this kind of impression's given.
Yeah. We also get a part, I think, just before that where the young Adam is looking at Ryan Reynolds and being like, "You're really ripped."
Yeah.
And he's like, "When does that happen?" And there's lots of...
He's like, "Is everyone in the future ripped? Does everyone in the future skip leg day?"
Yeah, he's kind of taking the piss, but also like quite impressed with his older self. And in some ways, in other ways, he's quite critical of it.
That bit's after, but
is it?
It's fine.
I skipped some of the...
Yeah, we also get a shot here as well of Big Adam watching his mum from the shed window.
Creep.
Anyway, it's the next morning. Mum's going through loads of posts. They've got like, they need to pay insurance, and she like goes to work.
Yeah.
That's all I've got written for that scene.
Does he go to school? Because I've got the next bit where the old...
I think he says he's going to go to school.
He borrows the dad's clothes and they go into town for some reason.
Yeah, so before that, he says he's going to go to school, but he goes to see Big Adam instead. We see a picture of the dad, which is Mark Ruffalo.
Yes.
And I've written here that the Hulk is Deadpool's dad.
Where did I write that?
And then we've got the whole ripped stuff. And then they're going to go to the drugstore. so that Big Adam can get some medicine for his bullet wound.
I see.
And they're just about to leave, and young Adam's like, "You can't go out wearing that," because he's still just wearing like his fighter pilot onesie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not what it's
onesie,
called.
Boiler suit,
jumpsuit,
flight suit.
So he wears like his dad's clothes. It's a little bit tight.
Yes.
But he also tells young Adam that he should treat his mum better.
Yes. So this is when that kind of starts, and it's ongoing. He goes into the shop, old Adam, big Adam, and the bullies.
Also, before that, on the way, he kind of explains how he fucked up the year, why he's in the wrong year, because he said he was getting away and he pressed the dial.
He'd already been shot once.
He was like, I wasn't meant to be here. I want to get to 2018. So now the kid knows as well.
Yeah, I think we got a bit of that earlier on, but
yeah.
So
he goes into the shop and the bullies turn up.
Yeah.
Punches him. Big Adam turns up and just he wants to set up a fight. He wants them to like fight back.
He basically takes young Adam to the side and he's like psyching him up for a fight. He's like,
like
look at him, like you've been wanting to do this your whole life, and then kneel down and punch him in the dick, or they say something like swimming parts or whatever, bathing suit parts. And then he goes for it, and then he just gets beaten up because
and he's literally like bleeding from the nose. And
like
crying.
And then he runs off, and then
Big Adam grabs a bully, puts him to the wall.
He's like, I wanted to.
Threatens it.
He says about taking his bones out and sharpening them, and then stabbing him again or something.
Yeah, and he's like, and I'll put your friend's like the bones of his feet up your ass.
Yeah,
and the other kid's like, what have I got to do with it? He's like, do you want your foot up his ass?
And then the kid starts pissing himself.
Yeah, and it's quite questionable. But then he's like, when they run off, he's like, I really fucking hated those kids.
Yeah. And I think we find out that basically he needed the young one needed to get an actual ass beating so that he could kind of toughen up and get over himself, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and he's pretty pissed off about it.
Yeah, so they get back to the house and the kid's locked himself in the shed.
Yeah, he feels like he kind of fed him to the wolves, kind of thing. Like,
and Big Adam then apologizes, but he's still pretty pissed off. And he was like, I'll forgive you if you tell me who this is. And he shows a picture of Natiri.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, it is on a blue hologram.
He's like, who plays Natiri in the film Avatar? I must know.
And he says, it's my wife, Laura. She played her in Avatar.
And I was like, oh, is she dead? I think it's implied that she's dead.
He says, oh, we have a wife. And he said, we had a wife.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or not anymore or something like that.
So he leaves, and then
this is when he goes on a date with his mum.
The mum is at the pub, and he's sitting round the corner of the bar, and she's complaining to the
bartender,
being oh, everything's bad. Like, my kid hates me. I'm still not over my ex dying. Derek's got a face mullet. Those kind of things.
And then old Adam is just staring at listening in.
She says she's had a rough couple of years, and he's like, don't sweat it, you're doing what you can.
He's very nice about it, but he gets too involved, and he's like, your kid loves you, I know your kid loves you, and he's just doing his best and all this stuff. And it's just and she recognizes she's like, I know you from somewhere. She's like, my husband had a jacket like that. And it's
and he says things like, you're grieving too, you should tell him.
Because I think he says, oh, I've been through the same thing recently, as if he's also lost his partner or whatever.
Yeah.
But he kind of lets his guard down a bit too much.
Says a bit, and then he leaves, and she kind of takes a moment and then runs out following him, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
And I don't think they see each other again.
No. And I think that's him
unless they have a little off-screen moment.
You look like my husband, but much more handsome and bigger.
Yeah, he's much bigger than his dad now, you mention it.
Well,
his dad in this form.
I meant because of the jacket thing, because they keep saying the jacket's tight on him.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds is bigger than Mark Ruffalo. That's not really a debate, is it?
Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, you see him standing next to each other.
I'm looking up his height. Oh, why is it?
I would guess 6'2".
Hang on.
1.7. Round it to the nearest inch.
Yeah.
And Mark Ruffalo is probably what? 5'9"?
5'9". Yeah. got to translate it into feet. So.
Damn Google trying to turn us
5, 6, 7.
Huh.
I mean, short king. That's what people say about like a small guy, right? Like he's a short king.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, back to the film.
You're just trying to move past that.
Yeah. Wasn't that obvious?
The bad guys arrive in 2022.
They certainly
They
do.
like portal through and we see like their ship kind of cloaking or whatever. And we find out from Ryan Reynolds that his wife got stuck in 2018. And there's a lot of exposition in this part, so I've just written one sentence.
I didn't write any of it down.
This is where she wrote down stuff.
My notes for this scene is
my bottle just flew up.
My notes for this bit are: Jet arrives, it's bad guys.
Yeah, I mean,
and then on to when they're eating together.
I think this is it. Yeah, because they talk about the tech and everything, basically.
Okay, yeah. She died in re-entry is the story that they were told.
Yeah, he went back to 2018. He knows that she went back to 2018, but she never came back from there.
Yeah, he doesn't believe that she died. She was like the best re-entry pilot. Yeah. So he's like, no way would she have died on re-entry.
That's it. And the dad's partner, who we don't know about yet, who's called Maya Storian, I think.
Sorian.
Oh, damn it. That's like almost like My Historian, I was just thinking, but no.
Yeah.
Because she writes her own history.
Yeah, basically.
She stole the tech.
Yeah. The dad invented time travel.
This is what I mean. It's all very like family
and
oriented.
Died, and she was funding him and kind of became very rich and powerful as a result.
Yeah, it's a magnetic particle accelerator, which is called the Adam Project.
Yes, it is.
Which, why?
His son's called Adam.
Why did he name his thing after it?
Why did he name his son Adam? I don't know.
His thing. He couldn't keep calling it his thing, could he? He had to give it a name. It was 11 years old. It didn't have a name.
Yeah, so
I think there is a joke here. I think because the older one is really bitter about the dad, and we don't really know why.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, because he loved that more than his real Adam or something.
Yeah,
it's a bit like, just get over yourself.
But he says he's gonna fly off in like 2 days. But he kind of senses the bad guys are here.
Yeah, he's got like a bit of a Spidey sense moment, and then the dog's looking around.
Young Adam, he's like, get ready to run, and then the bad guy's like, burst through the door.
And they look like black.
They caused quite a lot of damage in this house that we never really.
Yeah, they smashed through the white. Oh, because they never come back to the house in that timeline.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because she'd come home and be like, "My son has been kidnapped."
Yeah, right.
He like prepares. He like throws her like because they can cloak.
So yeah, they cloak. They cloak, but then they appear and he starts fighting. And I'm trying to write, he tasers one. I've just written, he tastes one.
He's like, give me a taste of that.
Yeah, he does like some cool fighting movies. He's got like a taser on a stick that he's kind of hitting.
I think he grabs it from them, yeah, because they're kind of like, they look like dystopian, like future cops, don't they? They're like kind of like stormtroopers, but less interesting looking. They've all got helmets. They all look the same.
They all kind of look like Halo characters. Like Halo bad guys almost.
Yeah, just kind of generic sci-fi minions, really.
And then he pulls out what the kid described as a lightsaber,
and he says like, "Oh no, it's a mag." Saber or
but
something.
It's essentially a lightsaber.
So I saw shots of him like shooting it out because we had it spoiled in something, didn't we?
When we were sitting here recording a couple of weeks ago, we saw a thumbnail. I think
it looked more like a lightsaber.
It had like a whole blue light round.
Yeah, and they changed it so it had like, it makes sense because it had like little segments that go up, but it was more like a training thing, like a stick which you zap people with, you know?
Yeah.
Like the things that non-Jedis have in Star Wars, you know, like...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the not lightsabers that...
Yeah.
It looked... I mean, I kind of liked it, kind of didn't, but...
It has some fun effects. So he also like... like stabs at one person, it like force pushes them away.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Halo. There's a gravity hammer or something, but it's
got like energy push.
Yeah. And it's double as well, isn't it? It can be single or double.
Yeah.
Double-headed.
Can Darth Maul it.
Yes, and he's quite often swing it around, and the action's pretty good.
Yeah, there's some quite fun bits scattered through the film. There's some fun things they do with it.
Yeah, nothing super like I mean, I don't remember much. I just remember kind of Ryan Reynolds or his stunt double.
There's a couple
of flipping around,
fairly original things they do, which we'll get to later on. Which two of my favorite.
One of the bits right at the very end, I quite liked.
Yeah,
but,
But another jet appears.
Yeah,
it's the villain.
Saurian,
and she's like, "Hey guys, I'm the villain.
I'm the villain. Stop fighting. We've got guns pointed at you."
And she says that she didn't kill Neytiri
because it's from a different franchise.
I'm not in that franchise. I also didn't kill Laura in this franchise.
Yes.
And
then old Adam just lets himself get beaten up.
Yeah, he kind of gets arrested by this guy Christos.
Yes, who
he's went like the main henchman. For the
went to the academy with.
Yeah, and they never really got on.
I don't think if we know yet, but him and Laura met at the like flight academy or whatever. And Christos was there, and they hated Christos, and now he's a bad guy, basically. So again, everyone knows each other in this film.
But then, just as Big Adam's about to get taken away, the jet gets shot at.
Yeah, we get some,
and we hear Led Zeppelin, Good Times, Bad Times, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah, so it is a little bit Guardians then. Yeah. I forgot there was more than
I was
one.
like, oh yeah, this is.
Is this the bit? Yeah, you thought, yeah.
And in the woods, it's Zoe Saldana, aka Neytiri, aka Laura.
She's flying in on one of those birds. She's got her bow.
Yeah, and
she just starts shouting about
the
Earth Mother. I watched it last night. I can't remember what the character was.
But yeah, and there's some cool fighting bits here. There's one really cool bit I like where Adam, to get up off the floor, he grabs the lightsaber and does like an energy push to the floor, which like pushes him up in the air.
Right,
and lands on his feet. And I was like, that's cool. That's a fairly original thing. Yeah, I like that.
Because it can do like the shockwave thing as well as... I think it's actually more of a shockwave thing than a burning thing, isn't it? Because we can't see... When people die, they just turn to dust. So I think they're being shocked to death almost, aren't they? Like shockwaves kind of thing. It's a little bit quakey kind of, isn't it, actually, thinking about it?
I'm sure there's some weapons where it's just like an electric pulse that you hit.
This is what I'm... Yeah.
But that was cool, like the shockwave jumping back on its feet, and there's lots of fighting.
And this is when we find out, when the first soldier gets killed, young Adam's like, what the hell happened? Because they just kind of turn into like fairy dust. They're just like...
Yeah, like Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah,
almost,
but like a little bit more
colourful.
Yeah, colourful. And he's like, what the hell happened? And then older Adam's like, oh, if you die outside your fixed time, that just happens. I'm like, cool, fine.
But yes, they basically fought them all off, and the bad guys retreat, and they're happy to see each other.
Yeah.
She did go back to 2018, and she's just like been chilling.
She just waited, which is...
She's like, I knew you'd turn up at some point, even though it's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, she just waited for 4 years, which is quite sad, to be honest. But yeah,
especially like, imagine, so the equivalent to us would be going back to like 1990 and being like just chilling there for 4 years.
Not that bad.
Yeah, but it'd be like a culture shift and stuff.
Oh, you know what I would do?
I would get on a plane and not have to take my belt off. Go through the terminal.
Just leave around.
It'd be great.
No,
I'd take a bottle of water onto the
Depends
flight.
on when in the 90s. I was listening to grunge recently, so I feel like I'd go watch some grunge bands.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I would fly with my water bottle on the plane to Seattle and go see Nirvana.
Can you smoke on the plane then?
Maybe.
Just start smoking. Get on that plane.
I'd make a cheap, quick little bit of money by making some bets.
Apple, still probably good to do.
I think it was
wait around for Bitcoin about 25 years. But
Steaua Bucharest won the European Cup in 1991, which was a big shock. Well, stick some money on that.
All right, Biff.
Well, Biff has got the right idea. I'm sorry.
I mean, he got to be president as well.
It works out for him. Like,
Yeah, it works out for him, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Biff's literally the smart one in Back to the Future.
You heard it here first. Biff is the hero of Back to the Future.
I didn't say he's the hero, I said he's the smart one. Doc's busy, like, I don't know, killing his dog. Does he kill his dog?
I don't think so. Does he
He's
kill his dog?
busy stealing uranium.
I just
from
realised
Libyans.
his dog's called Einstein and their dog's called Hawking in this. Even
See?
that is a reference.
I bet somewhere on the internet there's a whole list of Back to the Future references from there.
Shall I see while you carry on talking?
Okay, so
I'm not going to look up that. I'm going to look up actual trivia because I'm sure there's more since we started.
they run into the woods and they jump in Laura's car. And
Yes.
they're basically driving away.
Mm-hmm.
He introduces Laura to the young Adam, and she's like, "What?" But also, she's been there 4 years, so she's been keeping an eye. I thought she would have known what young Adam looked like.
Well, she's not keeping an eye on him. I think she was probably doing the right thing and staying away.
Oh, okay.
He's just like dumb.
But young Adam's like, "Oh, we've got away," and she's like, "Don't look behind us, look up." And the jet is chasing them. It like rockets down. They drive into the woods, and two guys on hoverboards chase them. Very reminiscent of Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah. This is what I was
Jedi,
thinking.
Like them,
but they're on hoverboards.
Hoverboards instead of the bikes.
So it's kind of like Back to the Future 2 because of the hoverboard chase.
Yeah.
But it's like the Moon of Endor stuff as well. And that's, I thought.
There's a cool bit here where Big Adam's like, brake, stop. And Laura slams on the brakes and he just opens the door.
Yeah. I mean, this is all in the trailer if anyone wants to watch these parts. So.
And one of them flies into it, which is also similar to something they do in Return of the Jedi. The Ewoks like pulls string out and he trips over it and flies in.
Yeah.
And then he's like, reverse. And this is another cool use, I thought, of their lightsabers. His door's now missing and they're reversing and the hoverboard's going towards it. So he sticks it out and cuts a tree, which then falls.
So it does cut a tree then.
It does cut a tree.
Right.
Yeah. And falls onto the other guy chasing them. They're like, cool, we got rid of those two. And then it cuts to like them on a beach. She's got like a beach hut.
Yeah, I thought they've just gone to another cabin now, which is weird.
Yeah, I think that's where she lives.
Yeah, it turns out she's been hiding out there for 4 years.
And there's a bit of exposition here.
Oh, she says before that someone had changed the time stream in 2018.
Yeah, she said there's record of someone coming
back from 2000 back
from 2018, but no record of someone going
which
there,
means
which means
that
the timeline's been changed, even though that's against the rules, as it is in all time travel.
Yes,
stuff.
Even though they're all doing that right now. But
yeah, why would you invent time travel if you can't change the past?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Right.
Let's find out.
It's also the whole thing, like, if time travel existed, we'd know about it already.
No, not necessarily, because
but, I mean, like it's the kind of logic where, like, if time travel's ever going to be invented, then it's always been invented.
Yes, but we wouldn't know necessarily.
I guess so,
because either there's some theorization that until it's invented, because going forward in time is more likely possible than going backwards in time. Because going forward in time, I think for whatever reason on paper is more plausible.
So you fall asleep and you wake up and you're in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. like in Futurama, kind of.
Yeah.
But seriously, there's something about it where you can go forward because you could do something, but going backward is apparently based on something I heard at school. But the other thing is that people say that maybe until time travel gets invented, you can't travel back further than that, because if it's like a wormhole receiver type situation.
Right.
Then until that's made in the past, you can't travel back to it.
Like the first 5-10 years of time travel will be pretty pointless. You can only go back.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which is it's all fantasy anyway, isn't it? Really, but that's something that could be explored.
See. We'll wait for Mark Ruffalo to turn up.
Well, it did say in the opening credits that we just don't know it yet.
The only film that Mark Ruffalo plays with time travel.
Right.
Avengers Endgame.
When he speaks to a bald woman and she shows him a stone.
I was thinking literally like the big plot of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
That's when he's already back.
Yeah. I was actually reading about that a second ago.
Anyway, someone's gone back and changed the past. I thought at this point that the villain Sorian had caused the car crash that killed.
Yes, we
Mark
never
Ruffalo.
get that.
I think it was just a car crash.
I think it was, yeah.
Kind of like Project Almanac.
Yes, where it was kind of
also
just...
time travel. Dad died. Also, if
how many times is this the second one that we've watched?
Yeah, I think so. If you Google the Adam Project, because the main character in that is called Adam as well.
Does it come up?
It comes up with the Adam Project. A few things.
The Almanac, Project Almanac.
Project Almanac comes up.
Cool.
It's a weird coincidence that we've watched 2 time travel films and the main character is called Adam.
Weird.
Is there some meaning behind the word Adam apart from like Adam and Eve wasn't a time traveler?
Maybe it was.
Oh. I suppose I'd get around having to like fuck your kids to make more kids.
Yeah, I mean, you still do have to after that. Then. I mean, you don't have to.
But I'm not planning.
You've got to do it, Lewis. Well, after this, speaking of having sex, Adam and Laura just like start making out, and then young Adam's there, and he's just like, "I guess I'll leave." And they're like pushing up against the walls and stuff.
Yeah, but quickly before that,
I mean that's all I was gonna say about that.
Yeah, Laura mentions that Sorian went into the past.
Yes.
Told her younger self something that changed the future.
Yeah, she's implying that the reason why they're in a kind of shitty dystopian future is because she is kind of the leader of the free world or whatever.
Yeah, and young Adam asks
free world
what the future is like, and Big Adam says it's 2050s like Terminator future on a bad day.
I think he says
on a good day. On a good day, yeah.
Yeah, and then he starts having sex with his wife, and in front
then
of
they're
himself.
having a nice like beach picnic.
Right, it just goes all like, she's like, you basically have to go and remove time travel from happening.
Yeah, so he says like, I've come back to save you, and she's like, no, you need to stop all of this happening. Like he's kind of concerned because it means they would never have met. But she's like, oh no, we'll find each other.
Yeah,
true love is.
There's this whole. There's this whole thing where they're like, there's echoes through the time stream, and we know that we'll find each other. And it's like, but you're just making this up. That's not a thing.
Yeah,
but it is because of the film. But
yeah, and then like an alarm goes off, and the bad guys are coming.
And I thought this was kind of cool.
And there's a guy driving through the woods for like days.
Also, why are they driving? Why they've all just got cars? It doesn't make any sense. All the future people have cars from the present, and
she's like, "You need to go back to your jet. You need to go stop Sorian."
She's
like, "Oh no, but my wife, you're going to die." She's like, "It doesn't matter if I die. You're going to reset the time stream."
Yeah. And she's been doing like
but my wife, my poor wife,
my wife. She's been like Sarah Connor prepping, for like 4 years.
She's like, this film reference a classic sci-fi film
that involves time travel, and she's like got like a drawer, like she pulls back shit, and there's loads of guns. She only uses one of them.
He's driven off.
And he's like saying in the car,
we've been cut into driving for ages. Finally pulls in to like her beach.
And then she blows it up.
She's got like a mine. It just blows up, and nobody gets killed.
No, nobody dies at all.
And
old Ryan Reynolds,
Big Adam.
He's like, oh, my life is shit, and the only good thing was my wife. My wife.
Oh my god, can we not?
And he's like, I hate everything in my life except Laura. And the young one's like, whoa, chill. Like, I'm a kid. Stop trauma dumping on me.
Tells the kid, you need to come with me back to 2018.
And he's like, what are you talking about?
Because you can go into
the jet. Do the jet thing. And then Laura is like at gunpoint from the jet.
Yeah, like, she's like shot a load of people. And then
and Sorian's like, I've got you, Laura. And at the same time, they're like about to set off in their jet.
Yeah, and
Sorian's like,
young Adam's like, you don't have a plan. He's like, I don't have a plan, but Mark Ruffalo will. Famed actor Mark Ruffalo.
Bruce Banner will. And then
the dad. All my notes are just the actors.
Sorian's like, where's your husband? And she's like, I'm not saying anything. and then the jet like takes off in the background, and then she does like a really weird crying face. She's like, yeah, and then we just see like the trigger getting pulled,
and she like blows up.
Well, it kind of just
very bright.
I don't think we really see it.
I think it's very bright. You don't see her blow up, but where she's standing gets very bright. But
all that fire.
Why did he fly off next to the beach? He should have sneakily flown the other direction.
No, I think they said before if they use the jet, it has a quantum signature and everyone can track it anyway.
But he's got a tracker destroyer that he used in the opening scene of the film.
Well, the thing about that is, so they're flying along the canyon.
Yeah, like so. Saurian's
yeah, they literally fly like along the beach, like along the skyline, don't they? And everyone's like, huh?
In fact, they fly like over the lake that the beach is on.
Yeah. And
so
and
then there's like a
it's kind of like a pod racer canyon chase thing. It's kind of like
you said it's referencing a classic sci-fi film.
I think it's a bit like Rey when she's on Jakku.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit.
It's
like
also
that.
quite like Top Gun.
I haven't seen Top Gun.
No, but I've seen the Top Gun Maverick trailer.
Oh, it was a bit like the Top Gun Maverick trailer. Have you not seen Top Gun?
No, I haven't.
Oh, sick. Okay. Silver Screen Project, Top Gun Magic.
But the Maverick trailer was on before.
Top Gun Magic.
was on before the Batman.
It was.
And,
it looked pretty cool, actually.
But there is a scene of them doing this through like the canyons.
I mean, planes look like planes to me. Which is good because they are planes.
You'd be the worst air traffic controller in the world.
There's planes. No, I'd be good because you can see the planes.
Yeah, but he pulls off some cool tricks. Like he turns the engine off and falls into the canyon, and then
it turns it on again, and they hide.
Like another classic sci-fi film.
No, they do that with Rey does that in that scene.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan does it in Attack of the Clones when he's being chased by Jango Fett.
I mean, this film is very Star Wars.
Han Solo does it with the Millennium Falcon when they hide in the worm.
Oh, they do hide in the worm. Or no, are they in the worm?
They're in the worm. They land like on its tongue, and they're like, "Oh, it's very squidgy."
Oh yeah, they don't realize they're in the worm yet, and then they fly out, and then it goes like this, like a puppet.
Yeah. Everyone missed Sam's hand motion. Then
imagine a hand going
up and slowly closing between his fingers and thumb, like a sock puppet.
If Kermit was like shouting at the sky and then eating in the moon.
Or just imagine the worm from Star Wars.
But the people who are listening to this have never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, basically he's got one jump left. He sets up a wormhole. He goes through it.
And there's the same Guardians of the Galaxy song playing at the start.
Yeah, so now they're in
and
2018.
It's like, thank God we made it when we're trying to get away from these bad guys. That's how the lyrics go.
Yeah.
And then
2018, and we're in a...
Mark Ruffalo.
What's the dad called? Is it Lewis?
I think it's Lewis.
I was like, I think I'd remember if it was Lewis, but I think he's called Lewis.
I think it's spelt different to you.
Is it that weird American spelling that should be Louis, but it's actually Lewis?
Yeah, Louis. Yeah,
that's Louis. It's pronounced Louis. Here's my big pet peeve of America.
You heard it here first, America.
As somebody called Lewis who can spell Lewis.
He's lecturing.
That name is Louis.
He's lecturing about theoretical physics stuff.
Don't get me started on Craig and Graham.
He's going. Graham is bad. Graham's crackers. You mean Graham's crackers?
Yeah, and Craigslist. You mean Craigslist?
Yeah, but I can. Yeah. He's like, everyone's got potential and you're all gonna have an impact on the world.
But he's got a really existentialist take where he's like, you won't make an impact. Generations after you will build on your work. But it's like, surely they should be building on the work.
But the funny thing about that is that he directly has an impact. Is that the point? It's like a bit of kind of existential irony.
He died.
True. And he immediately recognizes the old Adam.
Well, they look out they sneak in, and then old Adam's like, hey, let me do the talking. We can't tell him everything, like, the fact that he's gonna die in a couple of years, or even that.
I think it's like the next year or a year and a half kind of time.
Yeah. And then he like interrupts the lecture with like a question, and he's kind of Mark Ruffalo like makes a quote, and he's like, "Oh, this is a Roman quote," and Ryan Reynolds
like, "No, it's from this song."
It's like, Yeah, it is from that song, but it's also a Roman quote. Stop being a dick.
And then he's like looking at him like, I know who you are. And then as he recognizes him, like the young, I think he says Adam. And then the young Adam comes out.
Well,
and
no, he
like,
says Adam, and old Big Adam says, "Hi, Dad."
Oh, right.
And then the young one comes out. And he's like, "No, that's my son, but looking just a little bit older."
The thing is, when we see the young Adam, who's like 9 or whatever,
we would have been 8, wouldn't he?
Well, depends when his birthday was. He looks nothing like either of the other Adams.
You literally just see like a shot of him.
Yeah, sitting on the sofa, playing the early version of the VR game, which we find out that Mark Ruffalo made because he's just a genius.
Did he?
Oh, yeah, he's like, I should have never made that game because I'm so smart.
Okay. So they basically explain everything. Well, not everything, but pretty much everything to their dad. Be like,
which is kind of intense because they're like, we can't tell him about the death thing, but we'll just tell him about the time travel thing.
Think because it's clearly an older version of his son, he kind of is just like, yeah. Okay,
he does say, I think almost immediately, doesn't he? Like time travel is real or something.
Yeah. And he's just like really concerned about everything. Very much remind me of Mark Ruffalo's performance in Thor Ragnarok. Of just
kind of just
state of panic.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're breaking all the rules," and like, Big Adam's just like, kind of like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have to break the rules.
If it wasn't important, kind of thing. Yeah.
And he punches his dad, and his dad then like punches him back.
Yeah, it's kind of intense, but I think we find out that kind of he's been resenting his dad for dying, basically, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's basically like, time's already altered. His dad's really surprised that the villain is Sorian because they're obviously close partners.
Yeah. And we do see her in the present day, or 2018,
and she's far less evil.
Yeah. She's kind of got reservations about it. She hasn't become the kind of monster that she will. And they tell him that he invented time travel as well.
And he has the revelation that he's the grandfather of time travel, and he's like, "Oh, sick." And then they go back to his house, and the wife is.
They go to the motel for.
Oh yeah,
because the out of place ones book a motel or whatever so they can hide out.
Big Adam basically says, "Look, we're here to destroy your project."
Yes.
Time travel is a no.
Yeah, and the dad's basically like, it's dangerous you being here, even if Sorian changed time, you still shouldn't be here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
He's like, he's like, the dad's not really listening to what he's saying. He's just like, you're breaking the rules of time travel.
Yes.
And Big Adam says, stop being a scientist, be a father for once.
And then he kind of goes off in a huff, doesn't he?
And like, he's also like, points at young Adam's like, he needs you.
Yes.
And tries to play the whole emotional card. And then
it's pretty obvious what they're getting at, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he says later on, like, I knew from the moment I saw you guys, and it's like, because, they're pretty, one of them was fucked up and old, and one of them was like grieving, clearly. So it's kind of, but yeah, there's a moment here with the younger Adam, and he's quite emotional, and he's kind of like, "Don't worry, you'll see me soon." And we know that this is the last time he's gonna potentially.
The dad's like, "I need to get back to my this time family."
Yes, yeah. And then we see.
Then we go to the office of Sorian, and it's young Sorian. And then old Sorian arrives. We can't really do big and young here. It's old and young.
Old and young, yeah.
And do you know what? I have to say, I think the CGI is pretty good.
The de-aging, yeah.
Because obviously the older one is the actress.
The actress, yeah. Who's probably like 50.
The young one looks good. Like, she looks realistic.
There was a couple of moments, I think, later on where they're literally next to each other, and maybe it was lighting. It wasn't 100% for me, but generally it was.
The fact that they can put them next to each other is quite cool as well.
Yeah, totally.
It's not like a de-aging thing, like you've just got the actor there on set and after you change it.
Yeah,
there's an extra step there to have them both in shot.
They were either doing the split screen thing, or they probably had someone to put. Yeah, she's 62, so yeah, they made her, look about.
They probably
30.
based it on performances of her past, like when she was younger.
That's what they do for a lot of the Marvel ones and stuff, don't they?
But anyway, basically, she's given young Saurian's just like, I didn't think I was going to see you again. I don't really want to see you. And she's like, here's some more information. She's trying to alter time a bit more.
Yeah, she basically says like, oh yeah, I didn't think that you'd come back again. It was a one-time thing. And she gave her certain stocks and options to...
and it was like, get your parts from these companies, things that are often dodgy companies.
It said it was kind of unethical, kind of bad for the environment things.
Yeah, but it puts them in a position that in the future they'll be super rich and powerful.
And she felt kind of young, and still feels guilty about it, but she's kind of gone along with it.
It seems like her whole thing is like, she doesn't quite agree with what old Saurian's doing or saying, but she's being told by her future self, this is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think most people would probably take advice from their future selves.
Yeah, although, in this case, she is kind of assuming the way things are going to go because she's from a different future to the one that she wants to create. But I guess she could have said like, oh, the world's going to end if you don't do this. And then you're like, okay, yes, old me kind of thing. But it doesn't seem like she's done that. She hasn't tricked her. She's just kind of tempted her, really, hasn't she, with like power.
So then I've got Big Adam's looking at a picture of Neytiri.
Yes, I don't have that, but yeah, carry on. Oh, I've got Laura. That's why I didn't have anything about this.
Yeah, young Adam like goes up to him, and he's sitting like on the table outside the motel.
Yar.
And the kid's like, "Hey, you just hate the dad because he died, and you're missing him, and don't know how to process like fear and grievance. So you just put it into anger instead." And it's all like kind of deep emotional stuff, and they have like an emotional chat. Yes. The film kind of lulls a bit here because they're trying to do like an emotional side of things, and it's like, it's a tonal switch.
Yeah, I feel like looking back on it, I think the film wanted to be more about this than it did.
Yeah,
it didn't. I think this scene and ones, towards the end, I felt they kind of resonate with me, but then also they kind of fall flat with the way that it's like the very final scene is quite emotional. Or not final scene. The final scene with a lot of them. But then they they play catch with each other, and I'm like, oh.
A lot of this and going on is like intentionally pulling at your heartstrings type stuff. But
a little bit forced, I think.
Yeah, it's forced, and because it's like a as I said, a tonal switch. It's kind of like, nah, this isn't really why I wanted this film to go.
No. What I did like is the older Adam has forgotten a lot of the nice things because he's kind of warped them in his memory. And I don't know if you just said this because I was kind of half paying attention, but the young Adam reminds him of things like, oh, he didn't buy the thing that throws the ball back because
he didn't want
to play because you kept really asking for it, and he'd come out and play with you and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like that it's like, because it's true, you do change things in your own memory. And I think that sort of thing worked for me.
That's the thing. If they pushed full-heartedly into that side of the film, it could have been really good.
This is what I mean. It's very. I saw a headline call it like a skin-deep sci-fi, and I can't say I don't disagree with that. It hits the. It feels a little bit shallow in that it hits the points that you'd expect it to hit.
Yeah.
But doesn't do anything particularly life-changing.
Anyway, we're back at the house, and it's Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner chatting about Adam. And this is 8-year-old Adam who's playing video games. He's got a headset on so he can't hear
And this is the bit where he's like, oh, I should have made that game for him.
Yeah.
And the dad he's normally at work. And Jennifer Garner's like, oh, you're never normally here.
He's like, oh, I'll have a day off because I want to spend time with you.
And he's like suddenly concerned about like how much time he's spending with his family. And she's like, I'm going to be brutally honest. Like when you're with us, you're with us. But when you're not here, it's like you're on another planet.
I think at this point he's figured out that he's going to die soon. So he's like, let's make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then we are at the Saurian HQ, and the two Adams have turned up, and they're like, they're going to blow it up. Let's blow it up.
Yeah. I've written Adam. That's not what he's called.
Yeah, and And yeah, Big Adam's like, oh, there's nobody here. That means the future people are here because they can like cloak and be invisible.
Yeah, and they've got like they hatch an off-screen plan, don't they?
Yeah, and he like sends young Adam away, and then he's like suddenly surrounded by the bad guys.
He starts walking up to the entrance, and they all uncloak around him like an ambush.
And then we see that young Adam's got a VR drone.
Yeah, which he was when he was playing around with his bag earlier when he finds the picture of Natiri.
Yeah,
he picks up something.
So glad you're on board with that now.
He picked something up and he was like, and then old Adam's like, "Oh, don't touch that! You can blow your head off or whatever." And it's this drone.
So he basically gets the young Adam to use the drone to take out all the bad guys that are surrounding him.
Yeah, while he's waiting old Adam's waiting for him to help, basically. Yeah. Young Adam does the same speech that he did about the bully, like, "Oh, just punch him in the nuts and all that."
Just kind of like it's pretty shitty on the other end of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then he fights a couple, and then there's like two cars driving towards them.
Yeah.
And Big Adam's like, "Hey kid, take these out, get rid of them." And he blows one up.
Yes.
But the other one's still coming, and then out of nowhere, a third car crashes into the side of it, just misses Big Adam, and jumps out the reporter in Spotlight.
Played by Marcus
Ruffalo.
Marcus Gruffalo.
I will stop. But so basically the dad's turned up and been like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you guys." He's like, "You've broken the rules, but you're my son." So, I was gonna say that, but you collectively are my son.
My son. You're all my son.
Sounds like a cult now, doesn't it? But yeah, he's like, I'm here to support you, laddie boy.
boy. And he's like, right, he's like, there's two things that have the formula. One is my head. I'm like, are they going to have to kill? I thought they were going to have to set up the car crash. Like, that would have been kind of cool and bittersweet.
Yeah, but it made me laugh. He's like, there's two things that have a formula, my head and the hard drive. And I was like, so there's one thing that's got the formula, isn't it? It's the hard drive. Like,
he's like, the hard drive downstairs. And then Ryan Reynolds is like, is that your dick?
Yeah.
And he's like,
lots of dick jokes.
He's like, oh, you're such a child. He's like, well, you raised him. So.
Yeah, and Lewis explains to Adam.
Mark Gruffalo. Yeah.
Mark Gruffalo.
Yeah.
How to basically take out the time travel.
Yeah, he says, like, if you pull it out of a machine, it will either stop the machine, it will go into a loop and it will be fine and no one will ever be able to use it, or it will cause a meltdown.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool. And then Mark the Gruffalo just pulls it out. He just like takes his balls in his hands or whatever and just pulls it out.
I think it's actually Bruce the Gruffalo.
Bruce the Gruffalo Ruffalo.
God.
Mark the Gruffalo Ruffalo. And then the two Saurians, basically it's fine. They've got the hard drive. They're like USB.
A jet arrives, they put out the hard drive.
Oh yeah, the jet points its guns at young Adam and he's like, what?
But the Saurians arrive and they're like,
we're villains.
Like, hey, give us the hard drive, please. And they're like, no, fuck off.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna do a little speech about being evil. And then the young one's like, I look uncertain about the whole thing. I'm not evil yet, but nothing ever comes of that.
And they pull out.
She doesn't help.
They've then got the young Adam
as
with
a
gun to his head, and they're like, "Give me the hard drive."
And then the plan here is that old Adam winks at young Adam, and he just pushes the gun away, and it's fine. They're like, don't do anything.
There's a bit of back and forth with giving the hard drive. And I think because Mark Ruffalo's got the whole, I think he's kind of got the whole perspective of like, it'd be shit if my son died, but it's a whole resetting timeline thing. Yeah, like that kid, if I destroy this hard drive, that kid doesn't exist anyway, and therefore doesn't really matter if you shoot him in the head.
Yes, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, we get a bit of that after as well, but basically, young Adam pushes the gun away from his head, which if you could do that in any hostage situation, that's fine. But I think most of the time, if you try and push the gun away, you just get shot in the head, don't you? But anyway.
Either way, the situation is over.
Well, that's true. How do you end a hostage situation? Walk away.
But as he's pushed it up, it's been shot.
Yeah, and
the bullet hits the
electromagnetic
reactor. We didn't quite explain, but this hard drive's plugged into a big...
What does it look like? A little bit like arc reactor from Iron Man 1, 2,
and film references a famous sci-fi.
It's like a particle accelerator kind of thing.
Yeah,
the bullet pierces the glass or whatever,
and it starts causing
shit. Just starts flying everywhere because
Yeah,
it's magnets. The magnets are now on.
Metal starts getting pulled there. What the guy that's got the kid gets pulled and takes the kid with him.
Yes, is that Costas or whatever he's called?
Christos. Yeah. No, I don't think it was Christos.
He's knocking around as well.
Yeah, and then they all start to fight. And
they all start to fight.
Punching.
There's lightsabers. There's music.
Yeah.
Christos has a lightsaber, like nunchuck thing.
So the kid and this other guy are held against the glass and getting pulled. And the kid realizes that he's still got the VR gloves on, which have got metal in there. And he's like, these are magnetic. So he uses the magnet to turn. He turns and punches the guy in the face, but the magnetic pull makes the punch so much harder.
I didn't really understand.
So yeah, he kind of sees his hand, turns and hits him, and the pull.
And then he does like a slide down, doesn't he?
Slides down the glass
because he's holding on.
Yeah. And he finds the
lightsaber. Yeah.
Big Adams had the lightsaber knocked out his hand.
Yeah.
And he does the same push off the ground.
And then he does a superhero landing.
Yeah. He literally lands like knee and foot.
And he says it as well, doesn't he?
Big Adams like, does he?
I think Young Adam says
superhero landing,
which is Deadpool
reference.
Yeah.
And they are referencing another major franchise.
Then there's loads more fighting basically, but Young Adam one of the Adams, to be honest, I can't remember, has Christos, Costas, whatever, on top of him.
Yeah, it's Big Adam.
Yeah,
Christos is like pinned him down. They kind of struggle in.
Yeah.
And then he sees like the door.
Yeah.
Like the metal like doors that shut down.
Is like buckling towards them.
And just as it kind of buckles, he pushes Christos up a bit. And like the metal door comes and hits him.
Yeah, it just like smacks him into the reactor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the two Saurians are back, and this time they've got like a big gun with them.
Yeah, so we're back to the same situation before.
It's literally the same thing.
But they've now got the kid.
So and now they've got a bigger gun.
Mark Ruffalo, Ryan Reynolds, and the kid are standing there, and the two Saurians pointing at them with a gun, being like, give me the hard drive.
And they're like, and then basically Mark the Ruffalo stands in front of the two sons.
Yeah.
And then
but they're like
old Ryan Reynolds.
Like, the gun goes through you.
They say it's special armor-piercing rounds, which means it will go through you anyway. And he's like, I don't care.
Then Ryan Reynolds kind of shifts to the side of it.
And they're like, oh, he's like, I don't care. I'm gonna die for my sons. Yeah. And then the whole time,
I thought was quite cool.
I thought it's cool. Young Saurian is standing kind of off to the side.
Yeah, because she's like, I don't want to get involved. This has gone way too far.
So if you imagine, the reactor is at north.
Yeah.
And then at west is the three boys.
Yeah. And at east is Old Saurian.
And between...
And Young Saurian's moved from west to north.
No, from east to north.
To east to north, yeah. So she's going standing between them, but to the side and in front of the
just in front of the arc reactor.
But there's like a...
Yeah.
They're on like a bridge or what, like a metal bridge.
And then it all comes to a head. An Old Saurian fires.
And it goes in slow-mo and it goes towards Mark Ruffalo, the Ruffalo. But because it's magnetic, it turns, goes towards Young Saurian, hits her in the gut, kills her.
Dead.
And
then Old One does she disappear?
Before this actually, because there's a match of her life. As she shoots, she says to Mark the Ruffalo, you never understood the big picture. This is the big picture. And then she shoots and it hits her, and he goes, you never understood the science. And I was like, hey.
I mean, I thought that was probably the one creative thing that they did with it, the magnet thing.
Yeah, that
was cool.
A couple of the lightsaber stuff. Pushing off the ground and taking the tree. There's a couple of original ideas here. There's a total of about 10 seconds of original ideas in this 100-minute film.
But that was cool. And then the reactor's like going wild, right?
Yeah.
And the three boys have to run.
They have to jump over
They do a big jump.
To get through to the ledge. Kind of like Indiana Jones when he has to jump over
the board. Are you saying that this film?
I didn't think this time.
References?
Last night, but
a big
Jesus
film?
Christ.
Another Steven Spielberg joint.
Yeah. But yeah, they've saved the day. They get back to the house, and the two Adams are starting to disappear because obviously their timeline's now been wiped.
They're like, we can feel something, and the dad's like, I know I'm gonna die. I knew it when we first saw each other. I don't want to know how or when, but I'm sorry, kind of thing.
And he's like, I love you, Ryan Reynolds.
Well, this is quite. I call it. This is quite cute.
I really liked you in Green Lantern. I know it wasn't your most successful film.
I thought this was
really
cool.
think you got the part of Hal Jordan that I wanted.
Hal Gordon. No, I thought this is cool because he kind of just showers old Adam with praise, and he kind of just makes him break down, and it's sweet. It's quite nice. Sweet, and then they hug, and then the young Adam hugs with them, and he's like, you know, I did and do love you, and it's all you know, very nice, and they're like, let's all go and play catch together.
Kind of meaningless because they're all about to no longer exist.
Well, I thought that I know that, I don't know if this is being a generalization, but it seems like in American films, dads want to play catch with their kids. Yeah. And I don't think that's really as much of a thing here. Or maybe it's not a thing in America and people just...
But if you notice, they've got like the baseball mitts, and baseball's not a thing here.
What?
Like, if people play a bat and ball game, it's cricket.
Yeah, true.
I think the equivalent would be like
kicking a ball
in a goal. Because like I've done that with my family. You just have two trees and you kick a ball. And
or even just between each other.
So if it's British, it'd be like, oh, I'm so sad my dad never played football with me, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I just thought I thought that scene before was quite effective, and it kind of.
And then it's a really, really cheesy scene. So
that's what I mean.
The three of them standing like a triangle, just throwing
and
the ball between them.
And it's like got music, and it's like kind of half slow mo, and it's
like those like early to mid 2000 Ryan Reynolds films.
Yeah. But then they, you know, it's kind of interesting. One of them throws the ball, and it goes like just behind Mark the Ruffalo.
So when so it's the young kid who throws it. Yeah. And it's the long shot when he throws it, and it just hits the floor like in front of the Ruffalo and rolls away. And I was like, that's a really shit throw. All the throws up to this point have been really good. That's such a shit throw. And yeah, he turns and picks the ball up and stands up, and they disappear. Yeah. And so all their character growth throughout this film has just been
maybe not though, because back in 2022, Adam is about to leave for school. I'm reading straight from my notes here, if you could tell. And he's like says goodbye to his mom. And then he's
back
about
in 2012. No, but it's 2022.
22. Because it feels like it's like, because it's his childhood, it feels like it should be, but yeah, it's now. And he like has a moment where he pauses before he leaves, and he goes back.
It's the day that she saw another insurance,
and he goes back and gives his mum a big hug.
Is that like the whole echo through
That's
time
the echoes,
thing?
because he's had this like deja vu moment where he's like, I need to.
Is that what deja vu is?
Probably, yeah.
I told you about my deja vu the other day when I nearly got hit by a car. Maybe
you did, yeah. Maybe you survived a.
Maybe I died in another timeline.
Probably, most of us will have at least once. But
probably.
Well, yeah. If there's like
that's a big if. I mean, it's a big if.
But you said maybe I don't. Yeah, okay. No, I think it's pretty likely there's multiple things going on.
I think it's a big if.
No.
I mean, you've got no evidence.
I don't know. Should I Google? Do scientists think there's a multiverse?
Maybe after the pod. So yeah,
you can talk about the boring last scene while I'm doing that.
Yeah, so it's back to like Ryan Reynolds is like an adult and he's at this lecture, and it's I guess lecture, so it's quite boring.
Damn it! It says there's no evidence.
Yeah, I really told you. And Natiri turns up, and obviously she's like 4 foot taller than everyone else in the lecture and blue. But
I was still reading the article, but I figured out what you were saying halfway.
Yeah, she sits down and they kind of flirt, and he does a thing where he can sleep with his eyes open and snores.
Yeah, I didn't understand that because I wasn't really listening.
He was snoring with his eyes open.
I thought he was like,
it's like a joke.
I thought he was talking with his mouth closed, and I was like, I don't understand what this has got to do with it. Because it was just like, like that.
They're like just flirting. They introduce
each other. We found out earlier that they met because she came to the wrong class.
Yeah.
And basically this is the same thing happening
but this bit, she says her field is computational linguistics.
Yes, because time travel didn't happen, they never got into like the time flying thing.
She plays Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek.
Right, that's probably a reference then.
Yeah, who's in charge of communications and linguistics, working on the computer. So I was like, that's like the superhero line. I think that's her equivalent of referencing another film she's in. That is because she was in Star Trek, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't go a bit deeper on that then, to be honest. Like, do more. I guess they wanted like one reference each.
Yeah, and she realized she's in the wrong room, and she's like, "Oh, I'm lost," and he's like, "Not anymore. I found you."
Yeah, and it's like if someone said that to you, you'd be like,
"Yeah." But he also says something that she kind of gets deja vu about.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I can't remember what
this was the scene where Amy came home from work and I was watching this last bit. And she was like, "This is a really weird last scene." I was like, "Yes, it is, but also it's weirder if you haven't seen the rest of the film where
and basically he goes to talk to her to her new lecture and they meet up again. And that's the end of the film.
That is the end of the film, yeah. And to be honest, I like it less now that we've talked about it.
I didn't realize that it was such a rip-off of everything else in the universe.
If I remember, I write down like a 1 or 2 sentence thing at the end.
Yeah.
And a rating, fresh.
It would be hard to find a major sci-fi franchise that doesn't do something that this film
That's the thing. I feel like we're focusing in on that and we're being cynical. And if you were a kid, if you're a teenager, if you're a family watching this, I think you wouldn't see that as much. You'd be like, "Oh, this is like the things I like."
Also,
kind of
people
thing.
like Ready Player One. I'm not really sure why, but some people like Ready Player One.
I mean, yeah, that
I haven't read the book. The film is.
You haven't ready.
Oh, no.
You haven't read Ready Player One.
No, but I watched the film and it was bad.
Yeah, you watchy Player One. I mean, I wrote here 7 out of 10, but I feel like that might be too good for it, to be honest.
I had a mental number. It was mental.
You had a bloody mental number.
And it's since gone down one in my head.
Yeah, so I'm thinking.
But let's finish off our chat. Have you got any trivia before we go into our opinions? I do not.
There's loads of trivia since I looked yesterday, so clearly people have bulked this out.
It literally came out yesterday, so it's not a surprise.
Right, bloody hell.
No.
There's some interesting.
There's no need for that.
Look, it actually says about the Uhura thing here. Uhura.
Hey. I should have stuck that on IMDb.
Okay, we're gonna go.
Got a load of thumbs up on IMDb.
We're gonna go through.
Damn.
22 out of 26 people found this interesting. So. Okay, so we're going to go through some collections. We're going to go through some connections. Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner previously played love interests in 13 Going on 30, that came out in 2014.
They did.
2004. Ryan Reynolds, Zoe Saldana, Jennifer Garner, and Mark Ruffalo have all portrayed Marvel and DC characters.
They have.
Well, I'm not going to go through them because we know them.
We've already mentioned them.
Time Travel, Endgame, yeah. Catherine Keener, Mark Ruffalo starred in Where the Wild Things Are.
They did.
Oh, that's not the Gruffalo, is it? God damn it.
It's close, but yeah.
And they were in Begin Again. Mark Ruffalo and Zoe Saldana were in Infinitely Polar Bear, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame together.
Yeah.
There was Time Travel in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, there was.
There is a lightsaber in Free Guy. Bit of a spoiler.
I haven't seen that, thanks.
The Ryan Reynolds and Catherine Keener were in The Croods together.
Apparently, not bad.
Yeah, no, I watched the first scene and I didn't like it, so I didn't watch the rest of it. This is the bit that we mentioned. There's a container with sports equipment in it. Is this what you were thinking?
No.
Oh, there's a container with sports equipment in it, and it's got Deadpool and the Hulk stickers, apparently.
Oh, no, yeah, I did read that.
Yeah, is that what you were thinking about the Hulk thing?
No, was I thinking anything?
Oh, you said there's a reference, but it was not to Deadpool.
Oh no, that was the horror thing.
Oh right, okay. Apparently, the Pine Ridge Motel is something to do with Twin Pines, Lone Pines.
Yeah, that makes sense
because it's multiple pines. I don't know.
Yeah,
their thing about multiverse is a dig at MCU, and there was something. Oh, the catch thing and them disappearing is like when Hawkeye's family disappear.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't think it's intentional.
There is a shit ton of references.
Yeah, that's all, rather than like inspirations, that's more kind
direct
of references.
But like in terms of the inspirations, this film is just non-stop.
Yeah, I mean Star Wars and Back to the Future are the most, I would say.
Prominent, yeah. But we saw the thumbnail of the lightsaber and it was like, oh, they're just doing a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it turns out
actually
they're doing lots of that.
I kind of wish it had just stayed looking like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I think it looked a bit shit.
See, that's the thing. Like, you can do loads of references, like Ready Player One, that are intentional, people like it. I kind of feel like this film tries to pretend that it's not just copying other stuff.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and that it just glosses over the I don't know. It doesn't feel like references. It just feels like
copying plot points.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. All the pictures I can see of this lightsaber, it looks the same. So maybe we just
really. That's interesting. Maybe I don't know.
Oh no, this one here it looks. Oh, who knows?
I remember it being blue.
Yeah, it is kind of blue. Maybe our TV settings need to be updated.
So, what did you think of?
I think I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 because I think it was fun, but like as I said, like it's kind of skin deep. It didn't really do much with the premise. Action was good. Emotional moments were pretty good for what it was, and performances generally all right. I don't think some people had much to do. Like Zoe Saldana was a cameo, really. She wasn't really in it, and Jennifer Garner as well. She's normally quite good from what I've seen, and she didn't really get a chance to do much in this.
Yeah, she had a couple of emotional scenes, but she's literally only in a couple of scenes.
Yeah, I was kind of half expecting there to be like a post-credit for like a sequel, because this is the kind of film where I feel like they would try and maybe
like a lot of these Netflix films, they do just do a one and done.
Yeah, well, like Red Notice is getting a sequel.
Is it Free Guy?
I don't know. I don't think they could with that.
Yeah, see, I feel like most of these Netflix ones. Are
Netflix, that's on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, so
because it was pre Disney buying Fox.
Yeah, see, I think there is. Overall, when I came out of it, I was like, yeah, that was fun. It was a bit contrived and a bit unoriginal, but that's fine. Having talked about it and realized how unoriginal it was, made me think it's a bit lower.
Yeah.
But then thinking about the positives, like Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. Like he's always quite charming and fun.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo, he's essentially playing Bruce Banner.
I also think he didn't have that much to do.
No, he didn't. So Zardine didn't have. The kid's good. The kid's fun.
He's probably this kind of one of the standouts, really, because we know Ryan Reynolds already, and although he's doing an impression,
everyone else just kind of plays the character they always play.
Yeah, yeah.
There is bits I like. That's the thing. The couple of original things they did do, like some of the stuff they did with the lightsaber. I just
don't think it's enough to.
It's just. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah, fair enough. So you were on 6 before, were you?
Yeah, but having talked through this, I've been like,
well, I wrote 7 initially, but I think.
See, last night I was thinking like.
I don't know what the last film. I mean, I gave I think the good
whole
films an 8.
The whole like skin deep sci-fi thing, as you mentioned, is kind of downgrades it a bit because it touches on that stuff. Either fully go into it or don't do it.
That's what I mean. I just feel like even when is it? Yeah, at the end when we see the future, but we see the inside of a lecture hall. Yeah. It's like I know that it's probably not a super high budget film, and I kind of like how they're doing like the grounded E.T. Steven Spielberg kind of thing, but
even with
it's
like,
teasing.
CGI, there is definitely money in this film.
Yeah. But but in terms of the setting and stuff, they're trying.
Yeah.
They're being like, we're setting this like in the American Northwest or wherever it's supposed to be. And, like I like that, but
Connecticut.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I don't know how I suddenly remembered that.
I just feel like they could have upped the stakes. Bring in a warship at the end or something like that.
Yeah,
like it was all just the same people.
Imagine
that we know.
if like the future invaded the past, sort of thing.
Yeah, I know that's probably us being like, oh,
let's make a different film, but
also like trying to make it like a Marvel film. So actually, no, Connecticut is nowhere near where I said. It's the opposite side of America.
Did you say northeast?
I said northwest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's where the Lazarus Project is set. Your favorite film. But yeah,
I'd struggle to remember which one that was. That goes to show, doesn't it?
But yeah, okay. So 6 and a 5.
I was thinking more like Seattle. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Probably because you're thinking about grunge recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's a new film, if any of you guys have got thoughts, let us know.
I'd love to hear some little reviews from people. Some little reviews.
Yeah.
No, just some short ones would be great. People's thoughts.
As much as it was nice to have a project film new release, I kind of hope the next time it happens, it's a bit better. I mean, to be honest, I don't really think I was expecting much else.
No, I wasn't expecting masses from this, but I was expecting slightly more than this.
Yeah. Okay. So, does that mean that it's time for
personal projects?
It's personal projects.
Nice. That was good that time.
Yeah. So one thing quickly off the cuff that I did watch recently is I watched Shutter Island.
Right. Okay. Nice.
So much better than the Lazarus Project.
I will.
Within 5 minutes, I was like, "This is how you do this. This is how you set this up."
How many times have you watched it?
Probably 4 or 5.
Oh, okay, right. I think I've only seen it once, so I'd be interested to go back.
The more times you watch it, the more stuff.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Obviously, spoilers for Shutter Island, just in case. I don't know if we'll, but
if you listen to our Lazarus Project episode, you probably have heard us talk about Shutter Island quite a lot.
Yes.
Shutter Island is much better. So I've been watching a couple of things on Netflix. I'll mention one and then let you.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've not got much to say.
So me and Christina last weekend sat through and watched One of Us is Lying on Netflix.
I can picture like the logo.
It's like a limited series, like young adult thing. Basically,
there's like 4 people standing.
Yeah. Basically, there's this annoying kid who's got like an app that reveals everyone at the school's secret.
Right.
5 kids, including this kid, get detention. There's some streaks outside, so he and the teacher.
There's some streakers up.
Yeah.
Right.
Him and the teacher get distracted looking out there. She leaves the room to go deal with them.
Yeah.
He drinks like his drink and has like an allergic reaction. EpiPen's gone, it's not there, he's died. So like one of these 4 kids has killed him.
Right. So it's like a bit of a murder mystery.
Yeah. And you kind of switch between who you because you don't know.
Right, okay.
And they've all got their own secrets that then get revealed. Like one of them is like the super brainy child who turns out is cheating on a test. One's the super good baseball pitcher who's secretly gay, and their secrets get revealed.
Is it a bit like Breakfast Club?
It's heavily references Breakfast Club. Yeah.
I just looked at something here and it says, even that poster is a little bit like.
Yeah, I think it's directly trying to reference that. But it just
how many episodes is it?
I think it's like 8.
Yeah,
it's good fun. Unfortunately, the ending's quite bad and is a bit of anticlimactic, a bit of a letdown. They've announced a second season because something happens at the end, which I won't spoil just in case you do watch it.
Yeah, no, that'd be good,
but yeah, it's mostly fun. It's young adult Netflix series, so
cool.
Take it with a pinch. It reminded me a lot of Runaways.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were going to say Riverdale. It sounds like a kind of Riverdale.
I think it's been compared to Riverdale, but I've never really watched Riverdale.
No. Oh, I like Riverdale. Lovely. Well, other than that, I was going to say, other than that, what have I been watching? I, as referenced earlier, watched Avatar last night.
Did you?
I wanted to watch something.
What do you think of Zoe Saldana's performance?
Well, I've seen behind the scenes videos, and I think she does well. Without the CG, you can see her performance, and there's scenes when she's acting her ass off.
No, I think
and it just doesn't come. I don't think it really all comes across with the. I think I've seen it maybe twice. I saw it in the cinema.
Okay.
Maybe twice in the cinema. You know, in the full 3D and all that. And so I probably haven't seen it for like 10 years because it was 2009, I think it was.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of years ago.
And I think we wanted something that was kind of visually engaging and fun. And I think part of that kind of holds up, but you quickly just, I don't like the designs of a lot of things. I think the animals are kind of ugly.
And the film was made for like 2010 cinema screens.
Oh yeah, on Disney Plus it's in HD. It's not even in like 4K or anything. Like,
and
it just
also
doesn't
like
look that
the
good.
size of a TV doesn't give it justice.
Yeah,
and even films that have come out since it now, even these amazing visuals are now a bit dated.
Yeah, I mean most of the CG holds up well, and it still looks good. It just doesn't have that wow factor. Yeah, and as we were saying to you earlier, me and Amy, like the plot is so derivative. The characters are fine. It was quite cool, but I can't get over. I'm sure it's been said before, but the Na'vi, the aliens, they feel like some sort of fetish thing. Like they're all really super like ripped, but super like supermodel thin.
Not wearing much clothes.
Yeah, like you can practically see Natiri. What's she called? I forgot. Natiri.
We've only said it a few
You
times.
can practically see her like full boob the whole time, like both boob, and like they're like kind of furry people, but they don't have any fur, and it's just like it feels like someone.
It's on like a borderline.
Yeah, it feels like it's something that people want to fuck. Do you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I just think,
wow.
It just.
That's the quote for the episode.
It feels
Avatar. It feels like people you want to fuck.
It feels like something that people want to fuck. It just feels. It felt weird watching it. I felt like I was watching.
Did you want to fuck Natiri?
No, I didn't. And I was thinking, no, I don't think their faces are very attractive at all. But no, I don't know. I just, and like Sam Worthington is fine, but he's like, I'm a grunt,
and
I.
Character called Jake Sully.
Jake Sully. They're like Jake Sully.
I remember that.
Yeah, because he's like an idiot, and then he becomes like the leader of all the like apes or whatever. And it's just like
kind of the whole white savior.
It's very that, and it feels. It's been compared to like Pocahontas, and there's some
Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, and there's something the Fern Gully or something, which is like an old VHS thing,
right.
and Dance with Wolves. Yeah, and it's.
I like Dance with Wolves.
I've not seen it before. Kevin Costner, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it was fine, and we did watch the whole thing, which was amazing because about halfway through we were going to change something else, and then there's a battle. And we're like, we'll stick with it, and then there's a lull, and then there's another battle, and at many points we almost changed to another film.
What's her name?
Sigourney Weaver?
No,
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez plays.
Well, she.
I feel that was almost. So she.
That is in the middle of Fast and Furious.
She plays that character in Lost.
She's in Lost.
She plays that character in Lost about 5 years before that. And then from there, she plays the same character in everything for the next 10 years.
She's now made a thing of doing it in Fast and Furious.
But she's that character in this as well, isn't she?
Yeah, I
don't dislike Michelle Rodriguez. I liked her in Lost because that's where I first saw her. I like Lost.
I just don't think she doesn't have any range.
She doesn't really give anything to Avatar as well.
No, she was in the first Resident Evil film as well. But she's a bit more surly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fine. I'm glad I've watched it. Now I can be like, don't have to watch that for another 10 years. Yeah. And also when the new ones come out, I'm not going to rewatch that now.
No, you're not for the Silver Screen Project. Silver Screen Project! Avatar!
Fuck's sake, when's Avatar 2 coming out?
Next week, actually. We're gonna after we finish recording now, we're gonna rewatch Avatar together.
I have to make sure I definitely watch the thing that we're doing for Silver Screen, do I? Then
yeah,
of course.
100%.
It would be.
I don't know what you're referring to.
It would be a diabolical move to not prepare for a podcast episode. It's coming out this year, so that's good.
There we go. It's probably already on the schedule somewhere.
I'm sure it's not coming out this year.
But yeah, anything else?
I was going to give you a chance because I just talked for a bit.
Okay, so the other thing I started watching on Netflix, weirdly, you mentioned earlier, is Gilmore Girls.
Like you know about Gilmore Girls, and you're like, yes, I do.
Gilmore Girls is really good. Like, I'm like halfway through season 1. I've seen like the odd episode in the past.
Yeah, it used to be on E4, didn't it?
I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch Gilmore Girls, and Gilmore Girls is good.
Did you know the thing about the the speed of the dialogue.
Yeah.
What was it? They wrote it without realizing how long the episodes were going to be, and then they had to just. Is that right?
The episodes are like 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know if it's a bit of like an urban legend kind of fake thing. Supposedly, it was that the scripts were written for the first season, and they didn't realize the time constraints, so they just made everyone talk really fast.
Yeah,
which sounds fake.
I know that's like the joke, but I don't think it's not ridiculously fast. It's just kind of like quippy. And
yeah,
I think it's really fun. I know you guys have been watching Dawson's Creek.
Well, we were for a bit, yeah.
It's kind of comparable, but less like overly dramatic and more like quippy and fun.
Yes.
It's not like laugh out loud funny, but you watch an episode and you're like, huh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, no, I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never watched it like properly.
Yeah, Gilmore Girls is good, and I'm not afraid to say it.
That's all right.
I will. This very female-led series that came out when I was 6.
Yeah,
does resonate me as a 28-year-old man.
But weirdly enough,
27-year-old man.
Weird enough, with talking about 90s female-led series. I recently bought a Buffy the Vampire Slayer Unmatched set.
You did.
And my plan was, because I watched, 2 or so seasons about a year ago, and it partly actually in preparation for that coming out. And then I wasn't going to buy it. And then I said to you last week, Lewis, I've seen online that it's limited and they're not making any more. And I was like, I kind of wanted it. And you were like, yeah, it would be nice to have all of them. And I found it and bought it. But I thought I should watch more. So I watched the two
Buffy is good.
The 2 finale episodes of season 2, the 2-part. And yeah, now I feel like I've watched a 90s thing. like you, just like you.
I mean, Gilmore Girls came out in the year 2000, so it's not a 90s thing.
God, it does feel like
it does feel 90s.
It's late 90s, early 2000s.
But it's like that whole thing of like the 90s ended at 9/11.
Yeah,
true.
Before
9/11 is very 90s.
Pre 9/11 world. A couple other bits I've been watching just very quickly. Euphoria, I've been working my way through.
Have you mentioned that before?
I don't, not on here.
Okay.
It's pretty intense. We were on like episode 4 or something, and I wanted to watch the whole of season 1 before season 2, but we didn't really get around to it. It's like Skins turned up to like 25. Like it's incredibly well made and acted, and like they do cool like montages and they do references to other stuff, and the cinematography is fantastic.
Reference to a major
what? but the subject matter is often so heavy that it's like I will really want to watch the next episode, but I feel like it's kind of weighing me down a little bit. There's lots of very heavy addiction stuff and like kind of threat of like assault and stuff that I've heard gets a little bit better as it goes on. Like you don't really feel but in something like Skins, I don't know if you ever watched much of it, Lewis, but
bits and bobs.
It kind of by the end of a season, like the partying has taken its toll and they're all in terrible places. This opens and like the characters in dire places coming out of rehab, and like there's just like everything's bad already, and you're just like, oh, like this looks beautiful and the soundtrack's good and everyone's great, but like most people are terrible and it's kind of intense. But yeah, nice. So I will watch through that. But
cool. Let us know.
I will. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. I think you would like it. But
well, there's 7 seasons, 126 episodes of Gilmore Girls I've got to watch, 45 minutes a piece.
And you can only watch one thing at a time, so
that's it. And I think that's about
that's it. I've got a couple other bits, but I haven't finished them. So
yeah,
I've
got a couple of things. I was going to say Gilmore Girls for a later episode, but I watched a couple of episodes last night and they were really good. I actually had to pause Gilmore Girls to watch the Adam Project. And part of me was like, I want to get back to watching Gilmore Girls, really.
Wow. Gilmore Girls. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I'm the first person since it came out 22 years ago to be like, yeah, actually, it's pretty good. Next, I'll be watching Grey's Anatomy.
Gosh. Wouldn't be surprised to be honest.
I actually have watched some of that. It's quite good. But no, I do watch Gilmore Girls.
Bloody hell, I haven't got the thing open here that I read from.
As always, giving us a review really does help. Stick us on 5 stars on 5 stars?
5 stars.
5 stars on whatever you listen to us from. It does help us out every week.
It does.
Every time someone does it, it does really help. As well as that, you can contact us directly.
Yes,
you, Sam?
you can. You can reach us via email at theprojectpod@gmail.com. It'd be great to have some reviews if you saw the Adam Project and you've got some funny, genuine, concerning criticism to share with us.
Because it's a new release, I'd quite happily go back and talk about general reception.
Totally,
next
we
time
can talk
round.
about it. I mean, what would be great in future is we could do some sort of hashtag and people could leave their thoughts before we do the episode. But with this one, it is so close to the mark that I think it would have been pretty impossible. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you on that. Otherwise, all our other socials are in the link tree in the episode description, or you can search for the Project on all social medias. But we will be leaving you, unfortunately, until next week.
Yes, we haven't got any silver screen project this week.
It'll be an empty week for you.
But if you enjoyed the Batman, as we said, go check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But aside from that, we will hear you next week.
Yes, and we will see you in the year 2050.
The bad Terminator universe. Bye.
Bye.
Muffalo the Gruffalo Ruffalo.
Oh dear.